Here we go. Hey, what's up, peeps? Jazz Braganzo here. Another What's Next. Happy Thursday. Situation going on up at the Supreme Court. A lot of news hasn't been reported on it. And we are talking about Dementia Joe's illegal vax mandates. Constitutional illegal vax mandates. Basically, Dementia Joe, to just give you a little refresh, wants businesses with less than 100 people forced vax mandates. Private businesses using the federal arm of government, i.e. OSHA, to force private businesses into saying either you will comply or you must get tested at least once a week. Show us your papers. Now, of course, this has been fast-tracked to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court for the past week or so has been going back and forth whether, well, could this be illegal? Or, well, maybe it is. Or maybe we should just let the lower courts stand. Well, if you let the lower courts stand, we're talking 3 federal courts who have stepped up to the plate and said, "F you, Joe, and your illegal vax mandates." 3 federal court judges. You've already had the Senate shoot down a congressional bill forcing private businesses to force their employees on vaxes. Now, of course, I'm not going to go into the whole, the efficacy and the side effects and whatever. That is chapter and verse, or Rand Paul roasting Fauci again, as we saw earlier this week. But we're going to talk about Scotus's role at the end of this. Why are they hesitating? This should have been simple. Maybe a day or two, you sit on it and you say, hey, you know what, let's weigh the options. It turns out, guess what? Under the Constitution, you cannot have a federal arm force a private business, a private owner to force something that the employee doesn't want to do. Has nothing to do with performance, has nothing to do with their job security, has nothing to do with anything regarding employment. Basically saying, shut up and comply, take the vax, or you're fired. That's what it comes down to. Look at Australia. But let's jump into the story, shall we? This comes out of PJ Media. Supreme Court does Joe Biden's dirty work by delaying ruling on vaccine mandate. Joe Biden's vaccine mandate for companies with 100 or more employees officially went into effect on Monday. And companies are scrambling to figure out how to force employees to comply. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court is sitting on its hands, yes, possibly punting on this, refusing the rule and compelling employees to enforce Biden's totalitarian mandate. Yes, you got companies who are basically running around trying to figure this out, but you have other companies who are steadfast and saying, "F you, Joe, not going to happen." This comes out of National Law Review. On December 15th, 2021, a 3-judge panel for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 5th Circuit ruled the lower Louisiana federal court only had the authority to block mandate in 14 states that actually had filed suit. The following day, federal court in Texas granted a preliminary injunction to enjoin CMS for enforcing the vax mandate in Texas. Thus, the CMS mandate had been blocked in enforcement in 25 states, but remains in effect in the other 25, including Michigan. December 28th, the CMS updated its facts indicating that it is moving forward with the implementation of the CMS in 25 states not subject to the stay and modify its compliance timeline to January 27th, 22, Phase 1, and February 28th, 22 for Phase 2. Since then, the court has been silent, negligently so. On Monday, most of the provisions of the emergency temporary standard went into effect, and the exemption of testing requirement for unvaxxed employees, yes, you dirty Americans, which had been delayed until February 9th. Employers across the country, terrified of running afoul of OSHA, are demanding employee vaccination information and warning those who refuse that they will be treated like the filthy, unwashed, unvaxxed. Those employees will be required to submit a weekly test if they want to continue to feed their families. Yes, either take the test, like I said, comply, or you're fired. Not long after Dementia Joe issued the ETS, Chief of Staff Ron Klain, who's a clown himself, retweeted on MSNBC's anchor Stephanie's Rules. A post said, OSHA doing this vax mandate as an emergency workplace safety rule is an ultimate workaround for the federal government to require vaccines. In other words, Biden knew the nation's first ever national vax mandate was unlikely unconstitutional. It's not unlikely, it is. But he didn't care. Of course not, because it's the Democrats. What'd you expect? He knew employers would have no choice but to begin to implement compliance measures while ETS was tangled up in the courts. Of course it is. It appears that Dementia Joe has succeeded in running out the clock. The Supreme Court could have ruled that the lower court's stay on the mandate should continue. And yet, here we are. 3 days after the rules went into effect, and justices remained silent with their thumbs up their asses, leaving employers with only two choices: comply with the mandate or defy OSHA, which wields enormous power and hovers like a sword of Damocles over their businesses. My thoughts. Absolutely correct. They're sitting with their thumbs, they're sitting with their thumbs up their asses and not doing what they're supposed to do under the Constitution. This is unconstitutionally illegal and wrong. Morally, it's wrong. For me to tell you, take the poke, or hit the bricks. But typical. I think you have those like Thomas, like Alito, who are against this garbage. I believe that they believe that this is unconstitutionally wrong. But when you have Amy Coney Barrett and you have Kavanaugh, who are supposed to be the stalwarts, the reason why Trump picked them, they are looking around going, duh, what do we do? And I'm not going to talk about the other clowns on the Supreme Court because they are clowns. We all heard the wonderful facts out of Sotomayor's mouth regarding how many millions of children are in the hospital when it turns out to be less than 100,000. But anyway, who cares about facts when it's all about my feelings? But at the end of the day, this should have been decided within 48 to 72 hours. Easily. But yet, the asswipes on a Supreme Court, and they are, sorry, you guys are, supposedly big brains when the big colleges, ooh, whoop-de-doo. It's called common sense. It's called critical thinking, guys. You guys are at the highest court in the land. Do your fucking job and rule for the stay. Period. Or make it very clear. You can do something one better. Make it very clear that the federal government cannot force mandates, especially this mandate, on private employers. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.